Frieren just ended a few days ago, and guys, this is by far the most invested I've ever been in a fantasy anime. It's different, a masterpiece of animation, storytelling, and music. One of the rare few animes that I've given a 10 out of 10 on MyAnimeList. Just like how Frieren's adventure didn't end after defeating the Demon King, we need to keep in mind that our lives always continue to evolve beyond our greatest achievements. Just like how Frieren is still learning, still understanding, still forming meaningful relationships even after 1,000 years of living, we need to understand that it's never too late to learn or grow. In a very real sense of the word, Frieren's story continues beyond the journey's end. And with that in mind, I'm going to talk about the most important life lessons I learned from Frieren. From the beginning, Frieren's tears teach us the fragility of life. When Hummel passes away, Frieren doesn't react immediately. It isn't until after he is buried that suddenly the realization hits her, and tears start flowing out of her eyes. She knew that the lifespan of a human is short, so why hadn't she thought of getting to know him more? From Frieren's perspective, she is young, and when you are young, so many things seem stable. You don't quite understand the fragility of life. And guys, this is something that we really can't afford to not understand. Treasure the encounters you have. Death isn't the only goodbye in this life. Life is unpredictable, and there's nothing around you that's forever. This takes us to episode 4, which teaches you the value of making time for shared experiences. Frieren isn't the type who enjoys sentimental things like a sunrise. She'd rather be snoring and sleeping in. However, when she notices the smile on Fern's face, she suddenly starts enjoying it as well. So this is why Hummel and the others were so upset when she missed the New Year's sunrise all those decades ago. It wasn't about the sunrise as much as it was about the value of experiencing something together. Guys, if there's anything we take away from this scene, it's making time for the things that count. For the little moments, for the sunrises, even if you think it's not a big deal, because I'm sure after it all, we would appreciate it way more than staying behind at the office for that extra bit of overtime. Moving on, we have a rather simple yet often forgotten idea. It's the idea that being afraid isn't necessarily a bad thing. In episode 6, right as Stark is about to face the dragon, he is visibly shaking. This makes Frieren giggle because he is just like Eisen. She recalls how Eisen used to quiver just like him. She once asked him if he was scared, and he surprises her by just straight up admitting that yes, he's scared. However, Eisen also declares that being scared isn't a bad thing. It's his fear that has brought him this far after all. I think this simple, underrated line is one of the most iconic quotes of the show. When Frieren tells Stark about this, he smiles and goes on to slay the dragon. The thing about fear is that when we are afraid, we think we're weak, but that is simply not the case. Bravery isn't having no fear, bravery is having fear. But you do it anyway. So what exactly makes one a real hero? Himmel is the greatest hero because his party defeated the Demon King. But as we learn in episode 12, he wasn't actually fulfilling a destiny or anything like that. We're talking about the legendary Hero's Blade. Himmel had a fake one with him all this time, and Hyder even told him that since he only has a fake sword, he can only become a fake hero. This made Himmel decide that he will pull out the real Hero's Blade. Well, we know that Himmel was never able to pull out the sword, but even so, it didn't discourage him. Right there, he declared that he would still defeat the Demon King and bring peace to the world. And in that case, it wouldn't matter if his blade was real or not. Guys, so many of us have imposter syndrome, but really, fake it till you make it. Fake it till you believe it. Your mindset and heart really dictates so much of your success. And history is proof that Himmel is, in fact, a true hero. Following this, we have the lesson of leaning into the support of others. When Sign is up against a monster who backfire attacks, he's stuck. Yes, he can wake Frieren up, but only for 5 seconds. Even though Frieren told him to just wake her up instead of trying to fight the monster himself, he's debating whether to do that. He remembers a past conversation he and his best friend had with Hyder. He told them that they should just believe in each other's words. Just like that, he wakes her up before he can even say a word. Frieren strikes at the monster's core and destroys it like the baddie she is. Watching this scene had me screaming like I was watching a pair of NBA champions going through some 100% trusted teamwork and making a game-setting winning goal. It's actually very simple. So many times we get caught up in our head, try to go at it alone, when reality is, and I quote one of One Piece's best quotes, "No one is born into this world to be alone." Sometimes, 2 really is better than 1. Lean into the power of others, trust your friends, and reach even higher heights together than going at it alone. Next, we have the scene from episode 22. When Levine and Kane thank Frieren with a basket of treats, Frieren is confused, but then she recalls a memory. Himmel told her that if you want to be remembered, you just have to change someone's life even if it's just a little bit. As Frieren recalls this, she smiles and accepts the gift. Yep, this one is about the idea of changing one's life and how little it takes to do that. This one is core to the entire Frieren story. We learn that Denkin only became a mage because of Frieren's deeds in the Party of Heroes. Himmel recruited Frieren to his party because she showed kindness to him all those years ago when he was a lost kid. All the little revelations Frieren is having throughout the episodes are little insignificant things that Himmel or her party members have done before. You never know. Someone, somewhere out there in the world, their lives could have been changed because of you. Maybe it was a smile, a moment you took to chat with them while they were having the worst day. A little goes a long way. Now, remember when Fern was upset at Frieren for not understanding how important her staff is to her? It was so wrecked. It would have been easier to replace it, but even so, Frieren did not ignore Fern's wishes and tried her best to fix it. Hyder once explained that Frieren lacks emotions, which is why disagreements are bound to happen. However, he also tells Fern that Frieren is aware of this. The best thing is that she will worry about such things and care about her just as much. Even if you can't understand each other, what's important is that you're still putting in the effort. You are not ignoring or making light of the other's feelings. I love that following this scene, they didn't have to say anything to each other to know their gratitude and bond. Actions speak louder than words. That's all it takes. Finally, we have lessons from the season finale. Remember when Lernen tried to kill Frieren? Despite being extremely talented, he believes Sarie, his teacher, will never remember his name if he doesn't die without making a mark in history. This is the importance of having proper conversations and sharing how you feel. Don't assume the other person will just know what's going on in your heart. It can lead to a lot of misunderstandings. Thanks to Frieren, we learned that Sarie, despite being cold, somewhat emotionless queen, actually has a soft spot for all of her students. She remembers each of their personalities, their favorite spells, and despite what she puts forward to the world, she never regretted taking any of them on. Don't wait to have the important conversations with those you love. And how about when we learn about Verbal's past? He was obsessed with the epic tales of Himmel's the hero's adventures, but the elderly in his village would always talk about things like when the hero defeated some small-time monsters, or when he carried stuff for the village. This always seemed unimportant, but he finally understood why when the hero died and his village was attacked by demons. Even if the hero party had succeeded in defeating the Demon King, it doesn't mean anything to the village who only wanted to protect their daily lives. Helping them out with the small things far outweighs the big, showy stuff. And because of this, even though he was portrayed as the bad guy, he always lends a helping hand. This made Frieren smile. She says, the world has changed. It's all thanks to the seemingly unimportant things Himmel used to do over 80 years ago. True butterfly effect. The little things are just as important as the big ones. If everyone does their part with kindness bit by bit, we can really change the world. Alright, let's go to the ending scene. When Fern notices that Frieren's farewell to Levine and Kane was rather short, she asks Frieren about it. This takes us to yet another flashback where Himmel was once asked the same thing, and what was Himmel's reply? He explains that as long as they both continue on their journey, they will meet again. And in that case, a tearful farewell would just make the reunion a little embarrassing, wouldn't it? And so, Frieren replies to Fern's question with the same answer. Why was the farewell short? It's because a long farewell would make it embarrassing when they meet again.